When I talk about Moana, I always feel like I am remembering a journey rather than just a movie. The story began on the peaceful island of Motunui, where Moana is chosen by the ocean itself. Even though her father wants her to stay and become a safe, responsible leader, Moana feels a strong calling to the sea. From my perspective, this inner conflict is one of the most interesting parts of the story because it reflects a real struggle many people face, choosing between expectation and their true passion. As Mona grows older, the island begins to suffer. Fish disappear, coconuts rot, and the balance of nature slowly breaks apart. Through her grandma, Mona learns the ancient story of Tefiti, the island goddess who created life, and how Maui stole her heart, causing darkness to spread across the ocean. What I really like about this part of the story because how history, myth, and responsibility are connected. The problem is not just about survival, it is about correcting a mistake from the past. When Grandma passed away, Mona finally accepts her destiny. She sails beyond the reef, facing fear, storms, and self-doubt. Her journey is not smooth. She struggles with navigation, nearly gives up, and even questions whether she was truly chosen. Meeting Maui adds another layer to the story. He is strong and confident on the outside, but actually insecure inside. From my point of view, their relationship shows that even heroes are flawed and need growth. One of the most important moments for me is when Mana realizes that Tekka, the destructive lava monster, is actually Tefiti without her heart. This moment changed the meaning of bravery. Instead of fighting, Mona shows empathy and understanding. In my opinion, this teaches an important lesson. Sometimes healing is more powerful than strength. A fact related to the story is that the filmmakers worked with cultural experts known as the Oceanic Story Trust to ensure pollution and tradition, myth, and wayfinding techniques were represented respectfully. Wayfinding, which uses star, waves, and wind instead of modern tools, is a real and important cultural practice. I want others to watch Moana because it offers more than entertainment. It teaches self-trust, respectful culture, and the importance of facing fear. To me, this story feels like a reminder that leadership begins when we are there to listen to our inner voice, even when the path ahead is uncertain. Moana 2, the second movie, feels like the next chapter of a legend, where the journey no longer focuses on discovering who you are, but on understanding what you must do with that knowledge. This time, Moana is already a confident wayfinder and a respected leader. However, the ocean calls her again, not for personal growth, but for a responsibility that affects many people across the sea. The story centers on Moana receiving a message from her ancestor, urging her to reconnect islands that have been separated for generations. From my perspective, this idea makes the story deeper and more meaningful because it reflects real human story, where fear and conflict often break connection that once existed. Moana answered the call, knowing the journey will be dangerous and uncertain. Unlike her first voyage, Moana does not travel alone. She leads a new crew, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. This shows her growth as a leader. She must make difficult decisions, protect others, and sometimes put the mission above her own comfort. Maui returns as well, still humorous and powerful, but now more supportive and self centered. I like how their relationship evolves into one of trust and mutual respect. Throughout the journey, they face powerful forces that threaten the balance of the ocean. These challenges are not only physical but emotional. Mona questions whether she is strong enough to carry the expectation of her ancestor and her people. In my opinion, this struggle makes her character more human. Leadership is shown not as perfection, but as perseverance. A fact related to Moana too is that the ocean continues to be portrayed not as an enemy, but as a living presence, something sacred in many Pacific cultures. The movie emphasizes unity, showing that the sea connects islands, stories, and identities rather than separating them. I want others to watch Moana too because it shows what happens after the happy ending. Many stories stop when the hero finds themselves, but this movie asks an important question. What do you do with that strength afterward? Another reason is the message about connection between people, culture, and nature. A fact related to this story is that the ocean has always been a central part of the Pacific life, not as a barrier, but as a bridge that connects islands and identities. In my opinion, Moana 2 feels more emotional and reflective. It highlights leadership, teamwork, and the courage to face responsibilities that are bigger than personal dreams. When I tell someone about this movie, I say it feels like listening to an old sea legend retold in a modern way, full of adventure, legend, and heartwarming stories. To me, this movie feels like a modern retelling of an ancient sea legend, one that reminds us that true strength lies in connection, memory, and hope for the future. Together, the first and the second movie of Moana tell a complete story of growth, from discovering who you are to understanding how your choices can shape the world around you.